Hi, Dave here. Today I'm going to walk you through the change of the oil on my 2013 Toyota Corolla. I know there's lots of good YouTube videos on changing oil, but this one's a little different. And it's because Toyota for 2009 to 2013 decided to use a cartridge instead of a typical metal spin-on filter. So I'll go through pretty fast the other things that aren't special about this, but you jack up the car. Always use jack stands. Put one on each side. Never work on a car without jack stands. I also leave the jack there, so a little backup system, little belt and suspenders. And I always use cardboard. Done this many times, and no matter how careful I am, I always manage to spill a few drops. This car uses 0 W20 oil. I choose to use synthetic that I get from Costco, the Kirkland brand. So it's not that expensive. It's probably cheaper than conventional oil if you go to an auto parts store. Toyotas all use a 14 millimeter socket. And I have this special little tool here that allows you to remove the plug without your hands. So notice in this video shot I'm not even wearing gloves. So it keeps your hands clean and also keeps you getting burned from the hot oil. It is good to change your oil when the oil's a little bit hot because it flows out better. I put the oil in a 5-gallon bucket, which I take to the recycling center at my local university. This is the key tool. I tried to do it without it, and it was a bit of a disaster. So this tool is designed for Toyota. It exactly fits on the filter housing. This is what my other Toyota uses. This is a standard cartridge. This cartridge will not work in this car. You need to use this cartridge. And this cartridge fits in a housing that you need the special tool to remove. Now, if you can remove the housing without this tool, you can write in the comment below, but when I tried to do it, I ended up breaking the plastic housing. So this fits over it, grabs all these plastic teeth. And if you can't do it with this 3/8 inch socket, you can use an adapter and a 1/2 inch socket or a breaker bar, which is what I had to do the first time. But since I changed the oil last time and I put it on, I'm going to be able to get it off with just a 3/8 inch socket. This is the part you really got to watch out for. When you get this thing off, the oil really gushes out. You get over a cup of oil. This is a lot more than a regular spin-on filter. So just be very careful at the end. Get your container nice and close, and boom, that filter is messy as well. So you got all this oil in the filter, and that's why I always do this with an empty oil container. You notice I had emptied it out before, so I took the 4 quarts out before I did this, because if you have 4 quarts in it and you try to do this, it can be a mess. And I'm wearing gloves now because I had to pull that filter element out of this housing. You'll notice on this plastic filter housing there's a rubber gasket. That has to come off. I try to you just use my fingers, not a screwdriver, because I don't want to scratch or damage this plastic. The new filter element comes with a replacement gasket. So you put that on. It's not obvious where it goes. You have to see where the last one was, but it's just this groove right below the threads. It's not on the base as you would think. And you just pop the filter over this metal piece, and there's a little spring action there you can feel. And we screw the new thing in. Notice I kept my tool on the whole time. No reason to take it off. In fact, I've left the tool on in between changes. It's kind of nice because then you have a steel housing, but if you go over a bump, it could fall off. So I'm tightening with the 3/8 inch socket just because it's pretty hard to tighten it by hand. Just don't overdo it to be nice to the next person, especially if that next person is you. So, and then took a few bangs to get that tool off. We're almost done. Notice all the oil that was in that housing. So if you don't change the filter, all that dirty oil would have been left in the engine. Now's the fun part, adding the clean oil. 0W20 as I said. So this car takes 4.4 quarts. And typically I buy it in 5-quart containers. Yes, be careful, it's not a 1-gallon jug like it looks like. It's 5 quarts. So what I do is I get an old container, note how much oil I have in it, and pour off 0.6 quarts. And the reason I do this is I can take my time, and if I overshoot, I can always put it back, but I just pour off 0.6, so I have exactly 4.4 in my new jug, so I can just dump it in and not think about it and not risk overfilling. So put the funnel in there and dump in the new. Notice the light amber color, quite a bit different from the black oil I took out. Even though this is 5,000 mile, probably pretty much highway miles. Just hand tighten the cap back on. Close the hood, and we are good to go for another 5,000 miles.